Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Mike is here. Garrett is here. Hello, Garrett. How are you, buddy?
Howdy, I'm doing all right today.
Good, good. I texted 3G about joining the show today, and because he was supposed to do the show, but I haven't heard back from him. My guess is he's either at the Tigers game or watching the Tigers game. Either way, I was like, when I asked him a couple days ago, I wasn't thinking, oh, there's a game in the afternoon. I love the audience so much, and I'm trying my best to be consistent with shows and stuff. I know I wasn't here Monday; I had a lot going on. I had a bunch of shit, so I just and the problem is too that because of the time schedule, usually we're on the same page. You do your stuff during the day, and
Yep.
oh, we need to go at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. That's fine. It's just the way it works out. Where I'm 3 hours behind you guys, and so where I could have easily done something later. You're gone. Everyone else is gone. It's 9, 10 o'clock at night, and you can't do it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a weird thing, but I think we're doing a pretty good job of being consistent and whatnot. But normally I'd be watching the Tigers, but I wanted to get a show in today. So I've got the Tigers paused in the background. I haven't watched any of it. I like doing that, being able to fast forward through the games and stuff. So hopefully nobody is a smart ass and starts texting me, which some of you have been known to do, and giving me
Tell you
updates
what,
on stuff.
super
So
chat the scores in.
yeah, don't do that, please. Do me a solid. I know you guys think you're cute and it's funny,
Tell you what,
but
I'll read the super chatted scores, but I won't tell you which team is which.
yeah, don't do that either. Because
I
then,
know.
as soon as one team scores, then I know. Oh, okay.
Yep.
So yeah, it's so funny to me because people think that, well, I didn't tell you the score. I didn't tell you, and it's like, dude, you have no idea how much information you can get from someone's body language, from someone's attitude in a text. When it's like, did you watch that fucking Lions game? And you're like, well, I don't need to now.
Yeah.
I could tell just by how I didn't tell you anything. I didn't say anything. And you're like, no, but you said everything by the way you fucking texted, you asshole.
Yeah.
You're giving away information. I'm good at reading people. So
Tell you what.
you're even when you're trying really hard, and I have some friends that get it. I have a couple buddies, my boy Tim, Brandon, couple guys that know better, will text and they'll be like, hey, are you watching the game live or are you? And I'll be like, no, I'm not. I'll be a half hour behind and thank you. They're like smart enough to go to recognize
Be
that problem
respectful.
of, yeah, because I'm sure I've fucked it up over times. Like, did you watch that fucking Lions game? And someone's like, no, but I don't have much in this life. Hand, mouth, butt, vagine are kind of off the table for the most part for me, and so football is really all I have, and so it's just the way it is. And so I look forward to that. I get my Lions once a week for a few months, and the Tigers doing well in a postseason is fucking exciting as hell. It's awesome for Detroiters. I can't believe how much I miss being in Michigan for stuff like this. I can't believe how much I miss grass. I can't. It's shocking even to me how much pride I take in Detroit just not being in Detroit.
Yeah.
Like, I get it now. The people that want to wear Detroit logos and T-shirts with, every time I see Landau or Newberg, and it's like always with a Detroit shirt. I understand that feeling more now. I totally understand it. It's like, yeah, I feel like a fish out of water. It's like, no, man, my home is Detroit, no question about it. It's not even close.
It's a
And when
crazy
people,
city that it's got like a weird loyalty to it with the people from
yeah,
here.
it's insane, and I can't believe how much I miss it. There's something different when you're watching a game and you're like, you can tell it's in the 50s degrees. It's 50 degrees outside, and guys are wearing long sleeves, playing baseball. I don't know what the temp is right now in Michigan because I'm not watching this game. It feels different when you're sitting here and it's 85 and sunny. It just does. It doesn't feel like you're there with your team. There's something really cool about sitting on the couch. You look outside and it's fucking cloudy and gray and miserable, and it's 47 degrees, and 10 miles down the road is the stadium where they're playing in, and they're in the same weather. Like, it's an odd, I wasn't expecting it at all, but it's kind of weird and unique. So Anyway, I'm excited to go watch the Tigers afterwards. Like I said, I don't know what they've done today, but so exciting the other day. On I guess it was Monday's game, and that 3-run fucking bomb, and then I just unbelievable. If you've watched sports for long enough, you know how special that is, how cool it is. I'm not making many judgments on this team because I just haven't followed them enough to know, but seeing young kids with nothing to lose, everything to gain, don't give a shit. They're too young to even understand the gravity of what they're doing. Like, it's just awesome.
Yeah. Well, you're
It's
also not
so
alone
cool.
that nobody was following this team up until this run where we all kind of like, we're like,
Yeah.
hold on, what the fuck are the Tigers doing? And now
Yeah, yeah,
everyone's on
yeah.
board.
And I remember even thinking like, what? They've won 10 in a row. Holy
Yeah.
shit. That's really, or 7 in a row, and they 9-1, whatever those numbers were. Even at the time, it was like, well, they'll come back to earth. Like, they're
Yeah.
just, they're a roster with a few $1 million. Like, it's nothing. There's nothing there. Ditching their star pitcher at the deadline. It's like, okay, you see franchises do that. It's like, oh, they're a buying team or a trading team at the deadline. Says a lot about where you are as an organization.
Yeah.
In many sports, especially in baseball. Who are the ones dumping salary at a time? And, who's that team that's looking to pick up an ace or pick up a shore up this weakness, but they're really a good team. And the Tigers look like, they're a selling team. And so you're like, okay, you're just in a full rebuild. And to have a team like that doing what they're doing, it's super fucking rare. Super rare. It's why people love sports as much as they do. It's the definition of Cinderella stories. And to watch it in real time. I know, Michigan people in general are super into stuff like that. They're super into these franchises, support them when they're down. We'll bitch about them like they will, lots of things, but it's out of pure love
Yeah.
and want for success and all that. And to see seasons like this, it's like, where does it end? I don't know. There's not a 100-game winner in the league right now. Like,
Yeah.
anything's on the table. So I know probably a lot of people that listen to this show are not going to be listening. Certainly, most people don't listen live anyways.
No.
But they're certainly not going to be watching us live, not going to be listening to us live. They're watching the Tigers. I
I've
fully
noticed the
understand it.
numbers down a little bit. You can have 2 windows open, people. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I don't blame it. When you're focused on your team, I get it. Like, I shut the world out.
Just
the
keep
things
us
that I
muted in the
normally do.
background. We'll appreciate it.
Yeah. Give us a click later. Give us some love later. It was fucking, I can't believe how much fun we had with Amy yesterday.
Yeah.
She was great. We will 100% do that again and have her on. I think she's a really level-headed. I've always known how smart she is and how cool she is. But just getting a female perspective on some things I think is cool.
Yeah.
Getting a just a logical take. I think this show prides itself on common sense thoughts and conversations, and
Exactly.
not afraid to talk about difficult topics. I don't care what those topics are, but kind of coming from like, okay, what's the reality? And she fits that for sure. And I think people really enjoyed her. And that was a lot of fun. I will say, as I start the show talking about, trying to be responsible, being where I say I'm going to be, doing shows every day, and I think we've done a decent job of that, Garrett. Thank you for that.
So far,
it's not lost on me how important it is to have you sitting there, doing what you're doing and chiming in. And I'm thrilled that people are happy with you. That's very cool. Speaks to who you are as a person. It's not about your hot mom. It really isn't at the end of the day.
I would hope so. I hope it was me first, and then, the hot mom's like a little icing on the cake that kind of
it's
helps
not about
me keep
that.
the job.
Yeah, your dad sounds cool. That's all good and well. Your mom is obviously a smoke show, but that's irrelevant.
My dad's a long-time monster, so he's kind of with the fans too. He gets it.
We like that. He's a good guy. And he raised a good kid. You know what I mean? I judge people how they are in part on how their kids turn out.
Yeah, and that's a good way to do it, though.
Understanding fully that kids are going to do their own thing and they're going to carve their own path. But when you see people that are just kind of get the basics, have the basics down, you just go, okay, mom and dad did their job. This kid can go off and be a total fucktard now, but they at least laid the groundwork, and that's to be commendable. That's commendable. So while I say all that, I don't think we'll be here tomorrow. So I thought it was doubly important to do a show today, even though I'm having to pause on the Tiger game here. The situation I'm in here I'm downstairs. It's disconnected from the main house. It's
the second house.
Yeah, right. No, it's a very unique situation, and really, it kind of fit perfectly. It's not a casita or something like that, but it's just it's the lower level, but it's physically detached from the upstairs. You need to go outside to get to it. And I have a couple rooms down here, like a living room and my bedroom. It's part of the whole downsize project, but I feel bad for Cece. I want Cece because I can just walk outside and go to the net and then just go into the next room. And but I wanted to have a cut through so that Cece can kind of go. She's used to having a big house and a lot of room, and I've already taken grass away from her and the ability to go outside and run free. And so I want to give her as much space as possible and myself. But so they are doing construction tomorrow. Nothing like in Detroit where it fucked us up for 6 months, Garrett, if you remember.
Yep.
No, this is they're doing. There's like a bathroom. If you could see, I'm not going to point the camera, but there's a bathroom right here, and then a wall, closet that's being taken out, and they're putting a walkthrough in there so that these essentially become one bigger room. Cece will have more room and all that, but tomorrow and Friday is when they're doing that. So tomorrow would normally be a member show. Patreon.com/TDC podcast. Thank you to everybody that's a member. If we can do one Friday, tomorrow's going to be impossible. That's just not going to work. It's starting first thing in the morning, construction all day. They're slated for 2 days. So I don't know if that means Friday is out. And I know you're going to Newburgh show Friday evening.
Yes,
so it kind of limits the window there of opportunity, because I could go later if you stayed up, but you're going to be gone. So if we can squeeze one in on Friday for members, we'll do that. If not, I'll make good at some point, try to do it. But there's going to be a couple days like that. So,
and not to do Chris's plugs for him, but I'll be at the Wildwood Amphitheater 7:00 tomorrow in Lake Orion. We're living as a vacation. And
do me a favor,
I'll be at
Garrett.
the show.
Do me a favor and take some pictures. I'm dying to see what that place looks like.
Yeah, I looked at it. It's actually a lawn grass, so you bring your own seats or blankets and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of just like a little hill curved into like a nice little sort of shape.
Is it like Meadowbrook?
Stage.
Like a mini pine knob?
Very mini pine knob, yeah.
Yeah, so
instead of like a big metal
seater?
thing.
What's that?
Not even. It's probably like 100-seater.
Really?
Like
that's
a nice,
cool as
it
shit.
kind of looks like it comes down to a little park. It's very intimate. It's gonna be cool.
It's got to be more than 100 because he's bragging about doing a theater show. So
okay,
it's got to be more than that.
Definitely more than 100.
Yeah, 100. I mean, shit, you'll do 400 in Ridley's.
Yeah.
So it's probably
Ridley's size. Honestly, I'd say it's a good Ridley's size.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I think the weather's going to be pretty good.
Yep.
So that should be fun. Yeah, it's better to be there than it is to be on the in the southeast right now. With what's going on in North Carolina. I don't know if you still have the video I sent you yesterday or the day before, the FEMA response team, which looks like a Benetton commercial. Maybe that'll come into play here as we're doing this. The National Hurricane Center warned Floridians that an extremely life-threatening storm surge headed their way. Hurricane Milton. Doesn't sound good, man. And seeing that thing, I always question the sincerity of anyone on the news. Anyone on the news, I know it's more about them than it is the people they're serving. I do that in air quotes, serving the community they're representing. It's more about them, how they look on camera, how cool they come off. That's really what it's about. It's not about serving the community and all that. So it's shocking when you do see, there was one weather guy, and he actually worked, I think, for the national weather, the Weather Channel or one of those, and he's crying. He's crying on TV, and he's excusing himself. You see that every once in a while, kind of the humanity of people. Yeah. And you could just tell, this means more to this guy than his face on camera, or, he's this is going to be fucking devastating. And when you see it picking up steam, size, in that area. It's terrifying how this plays out for, I mean, as a country, we're what, 26 days from an election,
Yeah.
a national election that a lot of people think is going to decide literally the future of this country.
Yeah.
One way or the other. And, when you take areas like Florida, North Carolina, and I understand human life is more important than a fucking election, but, it should be mentioned too, like this is kind of a big deal, and how this plays out, how much damage is done. Like,
it's a good test of what are they going to do in the event of a major crisis.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's better than a debate because we get to see how both of them react to this in live.
Yeah.
Which, not good honestly, for the people involved, but
Ron DeSantis, lightning rod as he may be, is one of the most respected governors in the country. And
for sure.
That dude, I believe that guy. I think he goes too hard sometimes on the woke thing or Disney, and it's like, okay, like there's definitely, I understand the critiques of that. I think he's got a larger point he's making, and I agree with him on 90% of it, honestly. But I think he's a good person. I think he means what he's saying. He certainly doesn't need to do it. Yeah. And he would be successful in anything he did. So I try to identify that in some of these people, that I don't think it's just like a power thing. I think he actually cares about those people, and you see that reflected in the support he gets. So of all places, I'm glad that guy is the guy in charge of that state. That's how I feel. I think that's good for the people of Florida in what sounds like a horrible spot that's going to be. And I don't even know when landfall is supposed to be. Is that supposed to be tomorrow, or?
I believe so. I know they had a bunch of tornadoes today.
Yeah. Starting at like 8:15 this morning, they were saying there was all kinds of damage. Large area of destructive storm surge with highest inundations of 10 feet or greater is expected along a portion of the west central coast of Florida. If you're in the storm surge warning area, this is an extremely life-threatening situation. You should evacuate as soon as possible if ordered by local officials. Milton, Category 4 hurricane. I think that built up to a Cat 5. Now, those tend to lessen. I don't know that the Category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is all that critical when you're talking about damage done. I think a Cat 3 can be just as terrifying on the ground as, a Cat 5 in the ocean, because I know they tend to slow down when they make landfall. The Prediction Center issued a tornado watch for portions of central and south Florida, as well as coastal waters region from 8:15 this morning until the evening. It doesn't sound good. And then when you start seeing stuff like this, officials not mincing words at all, number of counties have imposed mandatory evacuation orders, and Governor DeSantis has already declared a state of emergency for 51 counties throughout the state, many of which are still reeling from Hurricane Helene. That was just 2 weeks ago. Still, there are always some who either can't or won't leave their homes. And I understand this too. It is a pain in the ass to, most of us have some sort of living creature that we're responsible for, whether it's your dog, your cat. People around there have lizards and fish. Like, it's not as simple as just, grab a bag, throw a couple pairs of underwear in it, and drive north for 12 hours, stay the night at a hotel. Like, hotels get booked up. You're worried about looters. You're worried about your property. And then so many times, how many times have we heard, like, oh yeah, in Michigan, this is the big one. They're going to dump 4 feet of snow, and oh my God, the schools are closed. And they announce it the day before the storm hits, and you go through that, and then nothing happens. You see these, oh my God, this hurricane is going to land with blah, blah, blah. We talk it up, and you watch the Weather Channel for the first time since the last one, and these people are acting like the apocalypse is going to happen. And then it lands with nothing. It's weak. It gets to, by the time it gets to the coast, it weakens, and it takes a right turn back into the Atlantic and doesn't go into the Carolinas. And so it's the boy who cried wolf syndrome. And so you can understand why people would be like, you know what? Last time I fucking did this, nothing happened. And, I had to round up animals. I had to fucking,
My car got broken into. They took
yeah, I
stuff from my
mean,
house.
I was going to say that, but then it's like, I don't know how much of that goes on, but I'm sure for some
Oh,
people, yeah.
guarantee it. Yeah.
For some people, it was like, yeah, people, criminals took advantage of the situation and broke into a bunch of, like, it's
Oh,
frowned
I won't
upon by
lie.
anybody in real society, but, that doesn't stop assholes from being assholes.
Nope.
So some of that, who likes to leave their house unattended? And, what do you do when you got a giant fish tank and you've got, small pets that aren't, like, it's not easy. And a lot of people have kids and like, it's not easy to round up. And it's like, you know what? I think we'll be all right. We'll just sit this one out and hope for the best. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. And these people are saying here, like, no, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. They have warned people. So summer is so there's one of the people here said the Attorney General Ashley Moody said you probably need to write your name and permanent marker on your arm so that people know who you are when they get to you afterwards. And we are still seeing, as we're uncovering folks on the beach who thought they could stay there and the storm surge got them. If you remain there, you could die, Fire Chief Jason Doherty said. My men and women could die trying to rescue you. Well, no offense, sir, but that's kind of what you signed up for.
Yeah. And
You want to,
also, they kind of, you don't have to really rescue them. They made their choice.
yeah, it's a tough one, man. And for people that, like us that are from, Michigan,
Yeah.
we don't deal with this kind of stuff. Very much, we've seen rough storms go through but nothing like down in these areas for sure. In the past, mandatory evacuation orders have been issued. The bars stay open, restaurants stay open. People are just going about their business in stores. That is not going to happen this time. And we're going to shut you down because we can't have the tragedy that we had a week and a half ago. This is not. And so this guy on the weather, I think on the Weather Channel, meteorologist Noah Bergman posted, this is nothing short of astronomical. I am at a loss for words to meteorologically describe you the storm's small eye and intensity. This is now the fourth strongest hurricane ever recorded by pressure on this side of the world.
Holy
The eye
shit.
is tiny at nearly 3.8 miles wide. This hurricane is nearing the mathematical limit of what Earth's atmosphere over this ocean water can produce.
Or you might want to get the fuck out of there. I think that's a fair
biblical.
warning.
That
sounds like
biblical.
a prophecy. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a warning. I mean, dude, think about it. This hurricane is nearing the mathematical limit of what Earth's atmosphere over this ocean water can produce.
Yeah, no, get the fuck out.
Yeah, that sounds like, okay, this might be one of those where we hop in the car and seeing the freeways just packed with people, because all they have to do, it's not like they have to fucking go to Detroit.
Yeah.
They need to drive hours north and get safe. But what do you do when half of a state is doing that? It's trying to do that. And they're running out of gas. Like, it's crazy. I don't know where they go from here. It's going to be wild to watch. I don't know what this does for the election in 28 days, but
it's not looking good for Kamala.
Yeah. Some people are bitching about these. Let's see. I wanted to hold on. I'm sorry. I'm shuffling through some papers because I feel like switching this up a little bit. Because I wanted to play the FEMA response. I know, and people need to be aware of what politicians, especially in an election cycle, are going to do. They're gonna play to the fears of people a lot, and so the people in charge are going to tell you that everything's awesome. They're going to tell you that everything's great, and the people that are trying to take power are going to play up that they're not doing their job. You might hear, I don't watch many of Trump's speeches ever. I don't, they don't matter to me. I know who Trump is, so I don't need to watch a stump speech or anything like that from him. I think optics matter in some of these situations. I think there's a fine line between being boots on the ground and, seeming to care. So I think there's some of that. You get there too early and it's disruptive. I think Trump showing up in North Carolina or in Florida is not a bad thing. He's not a current politician. No. I think the optics aren't great when, Biden is planning a trip to Africa and he's gone. Like, not that he's doing anything anyways.
No, but
and they had to cancel that trip after pushback, and Kamala's doing fucking talk shows and comedy shows around. Like, I don't think that's a great look. Her shit tweet about giving hundreds of millions of dollars to Lebanon, and I think people were right to point out what I hope you're talking about Lebanon, Florida, because this doesn't fucking make any sense that there it is. The people of Lebanon are facing an increasingly dire humanitarian situation. I'm concerned about the security and well-being of civilians suffering in Lebanon and will continue working to help meet the needs of civilians there. To that end, the United States will provide nearly $157 million in additional assistance to the people of Lebanon for essential needs such as food, shelter, water protection, and sanitation to help those who have been displaced by the recent conflict. This additional support brings total U.S. assistance to Lebanon over the year to over $385 million. That is disgusting to see for normal Americans. And what's funny about that is, last I saw it yesterday, that post had nearly 30 million views.
It's getting ratioed to hell.
To fucking hell. 16,000 likes.
Yep.
16,000 likes you should pick up off of 400,000 views. 300,000 views.
55,000 comments, and they're all negative.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm shocked they have the comments on. It's not lost on me that Howard Stern is bragging about his interview with Kamala Harris and shut the comments off.
Huh. Weird.
It's crazy. Why would Howard Stern shut the comments off on his X post? Because these people are getting fucking buried in the comments. Yeah. That's why they do that. There's no other reason to shut the comments off. Kamala Harris is going to get fucking buried in that. 29.8 million views as of yesterday, 16,000 likes, tells you everything you need to know. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that they're not doing decent work on the ground. When the governors in those areas are coming out and saying, hey, we've been in touch with the Biden administration and there's nothing they've denied us. They've given us what we've asked for. That means something too, You hope to hear that. The problem that I have is with, when Alejandro Mayorkas comes out, Homeland Security guy who's in charge of FEMA, and says, we don't have enough money left to deal with the rest of hurricane season. And he says this before Helene and Milton. And then you have Karine Jean-Pierre bragging about how they're using FEMA because it's a disaster. The immigrant surge is an emergency. And so we're able to use emergency funds to house, feed a lot of these people. And so it's not that far of a reach for people to go, well, wait a minute. If you're depleting these funds for this emergency, well, then it makes sense that you would run out of the funding necessary for actual American citizens.
Yeah.
And I think this is worth a play. It's this is I don't know if it says on there, there's some women commenting on health. These are all people that work for FEMA disaster preparedness meeting. And so go ahead and play that. It's only 1:38 long.
Sparked a few things in my mind, thinking about preparedness and how you said, LGBTQI
turn that up a bit,
and people who have been
as loud as I can get it.
Okay.
Disadvantaged already are struggling. They already have their own things to deal with. So you add a disaster on top of that.
For the audio listeners, this is a man speaking.
It's just
he, him,
compounding on itself.
He, they.
And I think that
Thank God he had his pronouns.
the why of why we're having these discussions is because it isn't being talked about. It isn't being socialized. We're not paying attention to this community. Thank you so much. Maggie.
Thank you.
Maggie.
Yeah, there are a couple of things that are intersecting in my mind here. One of them is the culture of emergency management as an organization, as an industry in the United States specifically, not
for the visual
abroad.
watchers. This is a woman.
And my cat sometimes does this. She gets really loud suddenly.
Oh, your cat
you have
does?
to just allow for the little meowing in the background.
Say, we'll live, she, her.
You know, the shift that we're seeing right now is a shift in emergency management from utilitarian principles where everything is designed for the greatest good for the greatest amount of people to disaster equity.
Disaster
we
equity.
have to do more, right? And so this topic is intersecting, I think, with a number of other topics where we have to look at policies and understand to what extent they have disadvantaged communities that had less assets,
disadvantaged communities who have less assets
in accessing disaster-related recovery supports.
This is what's so troubling to people like us, just normal Americans that, you know, go about our day. When you're talking about federal emergency management teams, right? When you're talking about FEMA, these are not times, in my opinion, to discuss equity this or diversity that or genders that. No, when you're talking about emergencies, you're talking about human beings, you're talking about American citizens in trouble. And that, at the end of the day, is your job as the federal government. Your job is to be there to protect your country against attack, to do what you can for the American citizens that have put you in positions of power to represent us. This is not the time in Lahaina to talk about, you know, water inequities for disadvantaged people of color. And you're like, fuck off.
Yeah,
when the when the house is on fire, you get emergency responses there to put the fire out. It ends there. Well, you know what? We can talk about all your fucking cutesy shit and your he, them fucking bullshit pronouns and your stuff. No, dude, you are supposed to be an organization that comes into dangerous situations. Those are dangerous situations. You take it seriously and you go, where's the next person that needs help? Yeah. That's it. And when these people fail, they should be shamed without mercy if that's what they're focused on. When you're talking about emergency preparedness, the fact that you're talking like what? So what? The trans person, the person of color should be thought of first? How about fuck no? No. Yeah. How about the trans person is equal to the white MAGA supporter that you don't like? Take all of that shit out. Take all of it out. Go help people in need. And I hope that's what they're doing. I hope that the reality is they're doing everything they can to go help their fellow citizens of this country in a disaster like this. It seems like we're dropping the ball too often in our own country to where that's when people get frustrated. Like, wait a minute. Things seem fucked up right now. Look at the polling about how many Americans think this country is going in the wrong direction. That's not when you steal their money and send it to Lebanon. Yeah. It's that you don't get to fucking send billions and billions and billions of dollars to Israel to bomb Lebanon or wherever. You don't get to fund the group that's bombing Lebanon and then go fucking fix Lebanon. Like, at what point do we go, wait a minute, this is counterproductive? You're funding one side that fucks up this side, and then you want us to pay to go fix that side now? This seems like a scam on some level. And it seems like when those stories are around is why you get people, you know, politicians taking advantage of that situation and playing it up like these people aren't doing what they're supposed to. Well, yeah, it's easy to point your finger at stuff like that when it's like, yeah, that's what their preparedness meeting looks like. It's a disconnect from an elitist group that, you know, of people. You know, I saw this video yesterday. Do you have the Cooney event?
Probably.
You know, and it's the Jose Vega. Jose Vega.
Yep.
So this is event, and they're focusing. Cooney is a New York, something, and this guy's running in the Bronx. The guy that comes into this, and I'm shocked at how much he got out here. So there you have your panel. So their focus, their talk here is perceptions of the economy and the impact on the election. Perceptions of the economy is an interesting phrase, because what they're going to talk about as economists, as whatever, they're going to talk about how great the economy is. The S&P 500's never been higher, and the NASDAQ and 401k. They're going to talk about all that shit that unfortunately it's lost on these people, that a lot of people don't live in that world, that don't they're like me. I went and picked up bagels this morning, 6 bagels and 2 small things of cream cheese, $17.
Fuck.
$17 at the grocery store. So I didn't go to some specialty bagel shop where you're paying double because they're a fucking small, whatever shop. No, this is at Safeway. $17. I mean, so this is the Graduate Center. This is their panel here. Join us for perceptions of the economy and the impact on the election. Dorian Warren hosts. He's the co-president of Community Change, organizer, scholar, South Side of Chicago. Paul Krugman, Nobel laureate, op-ed columnist, author of The Return of Depression Economics, The Great Unraveling, blah, blah, blah. Farrah Stockman is on that panel with her nice lesbian haircut. I'm a member of the New York Times editorial board, blah, blah, blah. Ernie Tedeschi. Oh, who's Ernie? He's an accountant, director of economics, former chief economist at the White House.
Nerd.
Yeah, nerds, elitists, the most elite of the bunch. And they're going to talk to all these people and convince them that the economy's never been better. The jobs report's great. Do you feel that?
I don't know. No, I don't.
Do you feel that, Garrett? Do you feel like the economy's working for you in this country?
I bought enough groceries for just me for a week. About $200.
Yeah. So go ahead and play this. Jose Vega is running. He's another one of these jeans and t-shirts guys. I'm not saying I support Jose Vega. I don't know what his policies are, but this is the level of frustration. And these people don't give a fuck what someone like Jose Vega is trying to say. But go ahead.
Ball prize winning economist here to tell us how great the economy is. I certainly wonder how the residents of Asheville, North Carolina must be feeling right now with no access to power or water or communication with the outside world. I wonder how enthusiastic they are about the economy right now. I wonder how enthusiastic the residents of the South Bronx must be feeling about the economy. Hey, maybe North Carolina should rename itself Israel so it'll get $20 billion in aid. Or maybe Ukraine so it can get $300 billion in aid. Maybe the South Bronx should do the same thing. I mean, I'm sure the economy is great for smug liberals like yourself who make $5 million and are worth $5 million. I'm sure the economy must be great for all you smug journalists, economists. All of you must be having a great time with the economy when most people can't even pay for basic necessities, for people who are getting evicted because they can't pay their rent. Because over in the South Bronx, just a few miles away from here, there are portions of buildings that are literally collapsing. And I'm supposed to give a shit about the stock market? You want to know why the presidential election is tied right now? Because our money is being sent to Israel and Ukraine so that they can continue to bomb innocent women and children. You think that's a great economy? I'm sure Israel, with their free healthcare, is having a great time with American taxpayer money.
Yeah.
Hey, is anyone here going to talk about the fact that we could be in war with Iran in a few days? Or do we need to focus on the S&P 500?
This guy sounds a lot like me.
Is that what actually matters? The S&P 500? When most people may not even be alive here in a few days? just because we're on the verge of nuclear war. Hey, listen to me, Mr. Krugman. Your degree is worthless. You might as well use it as paperweight because it means nothing. I hope you enjoy the dead children that the economy is powering. Our economy is definitely very powerful right now.
Yeah.
All that stock market money goes to the military complex so that more innocent women and children are dead. And fuck off with the New York Times, the liberal apologists for war and genocide. You all fucking suck. People need to wake up right now, and we need to have peace.
Preach.
We can work with China. We can work with Russia. We don't need to start war with Iran.
Even in the hallway.
All right,
All right, I'm good.
I'm good. We're good.
100%. That's where I'm at. I will yell those things. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I got it out.
Yeah. He speaks for a lot of us.
Yeah.
That see this smug panel, always looking the same. I guarantee every one of those has their pronouns in their bio, and they've all got degrees from somewhere, and they all brag about the S&P 500. They all brag about that kind of stuff. And he's right. He looked up, and so did I. Paul Krugman, $5 million net worth. These are people with millions of dollars, and they don't live in the same world you do. I'm shocked that guy was able to speak that long. And you're right. Did you see all the white liberals in the fucking crowd with their masks on?
Yeah.
They're still wearing fucking masks.
2024.
Are you shitting me?
After we've told it's come out, actual, believe the
more,
science.
Dude,
the
it's doing more damage.
The science has come out and said the masks don't work. They're actually harming you.
That is the cult. Right there, that when they talk about, oh, you're a Trump supporter, you're in a cult. Yeah, hilarious. That is the cult right there. That's their religion. I went and got a haircut the other day. As you can see, I finally cut off that hair. I went and got a haircut, and some guy walks in. Yeah, I know, I'm jealous. Some guy walks in, and you could just tell by looking at him with his fucking Birkenstocks and his fancy shorts and his t-shirt and his white beard and his hair and his everything about him screamed liberal fucking douchebag. And he walks through the door and he's like, yeah, I just need a haircut. And then he pulls a filthy, disgusting mask out of his pocket and puts it on. And it was like, yep, okay. We know what this guy's all about. This is the guy sitting and sipping fucking champagne at night with his wife, talking about how great the economy is. And what are all these MAGA people talking about? What are all these
gross people in middle America talking about?
Yeah, it's gross. It's creepy when you look at him. And I don't like to judge people just by looking at them, but there is a card that you're carrying around with you if you're that guy. Like, that guy knows what he's doing. He has to be smart enough to know that the mask is completely fucking pointless. Literally, it's doing more damage to your system by trapping those particles and you're breathing them in all day. The fact that you walked in and had a 30-second conversation without the mask on before putting it on, as if you went, time out, COVID, give me a second to explain myself before I put my mask on, and COVID waited by the door like,
and just
hurry up. You got 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds before we attack. Like, it's just it's so fucking diseased in its mind on its face.
This motherfucker touched his phone, the doorknob on the way in. He touched so many things before just touching his face with the mask on and not washing his hands before doing that.
And I'm telling you, it was one of those yellow cloth masks too. It wasn't even like you're trying like, oh, I've got an N95 mask. It wasn't even like going to that level. It was just this gross, dingy yellow. Like, it was all for show. It's all for show. Like, this is who I'm voting for. This is what I'm going for. So Paul Krugman, the smug cocksucker sitting stage right in that, who was looking at his watch the whole time, like, will this disgusting, dirty brown person get out of here soon? Can we dismiss Jose soon so we can go back to talking about how amazing the economy is in this country that we've built? Can we go back to talking about that? We are giving a lecture here. We're all probably being paid handsomely to give this lecture tonight. And real people, these white smug liberals with their masks on, they all want to hear what we have to say about how great the economy is. And this poison pill comes waltzing in and shits all over them. So do any of them take stock and go, wow, he's got some points here. We should probably address. No, Paul Krugman tweets out last night at a Cooney event about perceptions of the economy. So patronizing.
Yeah.
We had a guy yelling about Biden refusing to help Helene victims who had to be escorted out. So Trump lies have gone viral.
So,
okay, first off, and then I'll let you talk, Garrett. First off, it was a political candidate in the Bronx who never mentioned Trump once. He never mentioned Trump. I don't even know what this guy stands for. I don't even know what team he's on. I don't even care. He's making good points, whether he's a fucking independent, Republican, Democrat. I don't even fucking know. I haven't done enough research into Jose Vega. To me, he sounds like a local Bronx citizen who's had a fucking enough.
Yeah.
Had enough.
So,
last night at a Cooney event about perceptions of the guy, we had a guy yelling about Biden refusing to help victims who had to be escorted out. So Trump lies have gone viral. Jose Vega tweeted back to that. Yeah, that was me, you twat. Enjoy the video in full, you quackademic.
Good. And actually, funny enough, X also self-corrected. If you look at the tweet, it now always comes with a context that has links to Jose's stuff.
There you go.
Says, it was a political candidate in the Bronx stating their opinion and never mentioned Trump. Well, he said Helene. He also referenced his own area and its issues.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what is one other thing you'll notice if you look at this tweet from Paul Krugman, or if you go to Cooney's thing, but Paul's here. People aren't allowed to comment on his post either.
Yep.
Wow.
Only accounts who follow him.
Yeah. So just like Howard Stern, they know Paul Krugman's going to be met with reality if he opens up the comments. It's the only reason, because these people love getting blown by people. They love being, oh my God, Paul, you're so brilliant. Please tell us more about how wonderful the economy is for the average American. They love hearing that. Like, wow, I aspire to be as brilliant as you, Paul. So those people would have the comments on for sure. But you know what will happen to Paul Krugman there? He'll get fucking slaughtered in the comments. He'll get slaughtered in the comments by real Americans.
Yeah.
Who will go, good, fuck you. You deserve more. I'd like to hear more from Jose Vega, Paul. Sorry, Paul. That's the reality. That's why Howard Stern doesn't want the comments on. That's why Paul Krugman doesn't want the comments on. That's why AOC shuts comments off, because they're getting ratioed so fucking bad. What you used to be able to get away with, and they remove from you the ability to thumbs down something, and you just thumbs down these motherfuckers to death. Now they just turn the comments off. They're like, no. I'm much more comfortable in my bubble. I only want to hear from people that agree with me completely, who can sit here and talk about how awful the poor people are. These people disgust me. Disgust me. Tim Walz is calling for the Electoral College to be abolished now.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
It's not gonna play in his favor, is it?
Smart. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I'll read just some stuff about the Electoral College, and I can understand arguments. And why people would be weary of it or want to change it. There's no such thing as a perfect solution to stuff. Tim Walz said that the Electoral College needs to go, forcing the Harris campaign to release a statement saying it does not support abolishing the constitutional mechanism for presidential elections. I don't believe for a second that's not planned in and of itself. I don't believe Tim Walz is not a serious person. He's not particularly bright. No offense to him. He's probably as smart as me. He's a fucking CB human being. He's not.
They'll give him a directive. He'll do it.
Right. He doesn't strike me as someone who, is going to be, like Obama. You can go, you might disagree with Obama and everything, but you can go, there's an intellectual fucking heavyweight. He's no bullshit. I think he's dangerous in a lot of ways, but Obama's no bullshit.
No, he's one of those smart guys.
He's a smart guy. I could say that about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton's not stupid. Bill Clinton certainly isn't stupid. Like there are certain people on both sides of the aisle that are plenty smart. I disagree with them vehemently, but you can't take away from their understanding of things. Tim Walz is a dumb person. He's not especially bright. He seems like an aw shucks dipshit to me. And so I don't think there's a scenario that exists where you would send Tim Walz into an open microphone, knowing that it's going to be picked up by press nationally or broadcast nationally, where you would let him just spout something. I don't think Tim Walz is in that position. And so the fact that Harris has to comment back on it and be like, oh, well, I don't think Tim Walz, someone with that sort of brain, would be let loose to just say whatever he's feeling about something. He might say the wrong thing. So this happened at 2 campaign fundraisers on the West Coast, one of them at Gavin Newsom's mansion, of course. Can you imagine the levels of Dom Perignon they went through there?
Oh, I bet.
It was probably catered by the French Laundry, you know,
Yep.
one of those events. So he was arguing against the Electoral College, forces candidates to focus too much attention on a handful of battleground states. The New York Times reported, I think all of us know the Electoral College needs to go. We need a national popular vote. Yeah, I bet you'd love that.
Yeah, so LA and New York can decide every election.
Yeah, right. No, that would make things way easier, Tim. I get it. I get why you would want to do that. I really do.
He says the Electoral College, abolishing it, will make everything more equal and fair, but it will actually just give all the power to the populated areas.
Right.
How is that equal and fair?
Urban hotspots, you would that's where you would focus everything.
That's where you would campaign. Yeah.
And which is why they can't do it now. Now, the argument to that would be like, there are people in New York and California who feel disenfranchised because these politicians don't spend much time in their state, because they feel like we already know how we're going to vote. So there's, disenfranchisement goes on both sides and whatnot. I'll give you my opinion on it in a second. So he goes on, so we need to win Beaver County, Pennsylvania. We need to be able to go into New York, Pennsylvania and win. We need to be in Western Wisconsin and win. We need to be in Reno, Nevada and win. Yeah. Those parts that exist in this country as well. Yeah, you need to take into account fucking Springfield, Ohio. Sorry, Tim. Sorry, that's an inconvenience. It'd be way easier to just move into LA and stay there, and the other asshole goes to New York and hangs out in Manhattan and gins up all your votes there. At an event earlier Tuesday, Walz told supporters that he is a national popular vote guy, but that's not the world we live in. So the fact that he's saying this at 2 events tells me that this was part of the plan for whatever reason. I don't know what their end game is. Feel the country out, maybe. I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking they're just sending Tim Walz out to say this stuff because like they know Kamala's not going anywhere anytime soon. So they're like, well, we can kind of sacrifice this little dude every once in a while.
Yeah,
he's not going anywhere past vice president if he gets in.
Right. The Harris campaign said in a statement, Governor Walz believes that every single vote matters in the Electoral College, and he is honored to be traveling the country in battleground states working to earn support for the Harry Balls ticket. Mm-hmm. Is that what he's doing? Yeah, he's proud. He doesn't sound very proud to have to go earn stuff when he's basically shitting on Beaver County, Pennsylvania, or Reno, Nevada. He doesn't sound thrilled to be there. He was commenting to a crowd of strong supporters about how the campaign is built to win 270 votes, and he was thanking them for their support that is helping fund those efforts. The Electoral College was established in Article 2 of the 12th Amendment of the 12th Amendment of the Constitution, which calls for electors to meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president. System requires presidential candidates to gain support from voters across the U.S. instead of focusing on states and cities with the largest populations. This isn't a one-off.
Yeah.
During the 2020 Democrat presidential campaign, Senator Elizabeth Warren, I think she said this outside of a TP somewhere in Tucson through a peace pipe. Pete Buttigieg, butt a plug. He said it's probably outside of a bathhouse in south of Market in San Francisco. I heard it was a
club.
Yeah. Bernie Sanders, he maybe said it outside of Moscow somewhere. I'm not sure.
Or his mansion.
Yeah, or his mansion.
One of his many mansions that socialists tend to have.
Sure. They all called for abolishing the Electoral College while on the campaign trail. Harris said, I'm open to the discussion of abolishing the Electoral College. I mean, there's no question the popular vote has been diminished in terms of making the final decision about who's the president, and we need to deal with that. No, I fear we don't need to deal with that. Again, I come back on this argument, like the rules are well established in all of our lifetimes of what the deal is. That the fear is that you take the middle of the country out and you just you insult them by calling them flyover states, between New York and LA. Yeah. And when you look at, how many electoral votes, California has 55. New York has almost 30. Michigan, for context, has 16. And then you get into places like Montana, they have three. Idaho has 4. So how many of those do you need to collect to get to 55, like California? There's a lot of people there. And so a lot of these are very single digit. They don't have a huge voice, but they have a voice. And combined, they equal a lot. And their reality is different than the coastal elites' reality. It just is. Yeah. The coastal elites you saw in that Cooney presentation, right? Oh, perceptions about the economy. The reason you use perceptions is, I know there are a lot of dirty people that are talking about how the economy sucks, but what they don't realize is the S&P has never been stronger. The NASDAQ is through the roof. Your 401k is amazing. The fact of the matter is 50% of Americans can't handle a $400 emergency.
Yeah.
That's a reality. That doesn't apply to the Paul Krugmans of the world. He's just fine with a $400 emergency. I know a lot of people that are just fine with a $400 emergency.
Most Americans here don't even have any kind of savings for retirement. Meanwhile, we've funded all the Ukrainian soldiers' retirement plans.
Sure. And healthcare. And this idea, I've used this example before. It's the best one I can think of about when these things come up and these people talk about abolishing the Electoral College and going, but we won the popular vote. And it's like, well, that's not the game. Fuckface. Who cares? I don't give a shit. And the best argument I can come up with is a World Series, 7-game series. You need to win 4 of them. And you win game 1 15-1. And then you lose the next 4 games 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Did you win the World Series? Well, you scored 15 runs and the other team only scored 5.
Yeah.
Would anyone take you seriously if you went, but we outscored them. We scored more runs than they did by triple. We tripled their number. We scored 15 runs. They only scored 5. That's the problem. The game is what it is.
Yeah.
You need to go convince people in other parts of the country that your message works for them too. And they're more and more screaming at the top of their lungs, you don't represent me. You don't. So fuck off. I don't know what their plans are. I don't know, but I know these people haven't earned, in my opinion, like if you thought that the people that were leading you had the best of intentions and they really were looking out for you, if you really felt that way, in my opinion, you could have the discussion about stuff like this. Like, hey, you know what? I know there's got to be a balance here of representation and we don't want people to feel too left out or outsized in their voice. But, this is happening. How do we address this as a nation? You go, okay, but no, the reason you don't want this is you just assume, well, we have the most people that check the box for us, so we win, and it doesn't work like that. And so you're finding, to them, this is a game. They don't have to live with the consequences of what they do, what they put in, how laws are changed. We do. The little guy has to deal with that. And so it doesn't matter to Gavin Newsom if his state is a fucking joke. It's a supermajority.
Yeah.
The Democrats are in charge. That's what they'd like to see for the rest of the country.
Yep.
They would like to see California be the gold standard for the rest of the country. They don't give a shit that crime's through the roof. They don't give a shit that it's filthy. They don't give a shit that they're funding craziness in their schools. They don't care because Gavin Newsom doesn't deal with that. Nancy Pelosi doesn't deal with that. They have 24-hour security. They have big homes away from the regular people. Their kids don't go to the schools that the other kids go to. Their healthcare is different than yours. They don't give a shit.
Yep.
So the game is rigged in their favor, and they're just fine pretending that they're looking out for you. And the guy that bullshits the best wins is their game.
Well, they know if they were actually looking out for it. Well, they know if they were actually looking out for us, it would mean a cost to them. They would be making less.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
Yeah. No, it's okay. So let me be fair about what critics say about the Electoral College. Individual states have the responsibility of overseeing federal election. Let's see here. Critics believe that it compromises the one person, one vote principle, and it is less democratic than the popular vote. Not only can someone win the presidency without winning the popular vote and other consequences, that it influences how and where candidates campaign. Under the current system, if it seems clear that one candidate is likely to win a popular state, there's no reason for the other candidate to campaign in that state and try to capture any votes. As a result, rather than visiting as many states as they can, candidates end up focusing their time and resources on the small number of swing states. I understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I again, the problem is I know these people are full of shit. I don't trust their word. I don't trust that they're coming from a good place. This to them is a game of that they're winning. They're always winning. They're not terribly concerned about you. They're just not. And so you need to do everything you can to protect yourselves. We need to protect ourselves from these people. Period. Yeah. So, like I say, they're just not subject to live with the reality of the stuff that they enact and put on regular people. And they can't be trusted. California is a great example when they can spend billions of dollars tackling the root causes of homelessness and make it tenfold worse.
Yeah,
and just say, fucking deal with it. We have no accounting, of anything. I don't know. We made the problem 3 times worse than it ever was, and we need more money. Like, no, that's not how it works in the real world. You don't get to go fail miserably at your job and continue doing your job.
Yeah.
Would your boss allow that, Garrett?
No, not at all.
Yeah. I think he'd pull you into his office and go, today was your last day, Garrett.
Yep.
Thanks for your time.
We don't even have a union. If you're fucking up, get the fuck out.
Don't call me for a reference. I'll be honest with you, kid. You got a lot of fucking soul searching to do.
Yeah.
Bye. That's what they would do. Not give you more money. That's not the way it works. And if you think you have a democratic fucking system in California, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. DeSantis took Florida from a purple at best state to fucking scarlet red. How? Yeah. How did he do it? By being reasonable and gaining the support and the trust of his citizens. That's a model for how it's done. Don't fail over and over and over and then expect to be reelected because of a letter next to your name. No, people in Florida, they have their own issues, but by and large, the vote speaks for itself. Overwhelming support for DeSantis. Overwhelming. Yeah. And then you see stuff like this come up in California. And if someone can explain to me how this helps American citizens, I'd love to know. Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law Senate Bill 1174, which outlaws all local governments from enacting any law that requires their residents to provide valid ID before voting. In fact, if you were to pull out an ID at one of these voting centers in California, just out of habit, they would turn their head and say, no, I can't even look at it.
Yeah.
Can't even look at it.
It's ridiculous. That one actually offends me a little bit. It makes me want to just take California's votes and just not count them because they're not playing the same game we are.
Right.
They're playing their own game. I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it does feel like that. And it's like, California, you've done to yourself. Like, I can't stress enough how amazing California was in the 80s and 90s. I can't.
Oh, I bet.
Like, it was unbelievable when you had fairly reasonable people. Like, it's the most beautiful state in the country. The streets. I would go there from Detroit and you drive around and you just be in awe of how, like, just side streets were beautiful. The landscaping was gorgeous. They were clean. The people took great pride. You would never just throw something out the window and have garbage laying around. The freeways were spotless. No such thing as a pothole anywhere. Like, it was unbelievable. And maybe some of this I'm playing up in my head from my childhood and remembering, like how amazing it was. But incredible. And you go there now, and it's every fucking bridge. Some group of assholes, drug-addled, are living there. I could send you pictures. Last time I was in San Francisco, a couple months ago, driving around with my sister, and I'm taking pictures of people just lumped over in the fucking streets. You know, this guy, some chick on a curb, just laying sprawled out. No one cares. Just step over. She's fine.
Doing the classic fentanyl lean.
Yeah. Oh, the fentanyl lean. I mean, they have articles about it in the paper.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Is it the fentanyl lean? Is that what they call it? Or the fentanyl?
They usually call it the fentanyl lean.
Yeah,
it's that person walking, but they're slumped 100% over.
Slumped over completely. Yeah. Yep. No. I have pictures of it on my phone.
Yep.
That you can see. So California's new law is sweeping in scope. So this bill prohibits local governments from implementing laws to verify a voter's identity at the polls and prevents localities from enacting any charter provision, ordinance, or regulation requiring a person to present ID for the purpose of voting or submitting a ballot at any polling place, vote center, or other location where ballots are cast or submitted. To ensure there are no loopholes, don't even think about it. State Bill 1174 ensures that its provisions apply to every conceivable jurisdiction. It defines local government to include not only general law cities, but charter cities as well. While general law cities are obligated to abide by state law, charter cities derive special privileges due to the fact that the state constitution grants them supreme authority over municipal affairs. So this came up because of Huntington Beach, which falls into one of those categories, and they voted in favor of having voter ID in Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
Huntington Beach is a nice area. Most of us could not afford to live in Huntington Beach. Not surprisingly, it was one of these charter cities that was the impetus for State Bill 1174. In March, nearly 54% of Huntington Beach voters passed ballot measure A, which amended the city charter to require voter ID in all municipal elections. Measure A further stipulated that if there was conflict between the state's elections code and the city's charter, the provisions of this charter shall control and prevail. As per California's Constitution. Well, Senator Dave Min, state senator whose district includes Huntington Beach, introduced State Bill 1174, stated his motivation was to prevent 100 different charter cities from making up 100 different sets of voting rules based on fringe conspiracy theories. So think about that. This is a fringe conspiracy theory now. The idea that you would want like someone to present ID to prove who they are.
Well,
this is MAGA at this point.
You know how they've been trying to push the voting laws to a younger age too. I think this also plays in that. You can get a lot of 15 to 18-year-olds who just kind of look old enough. They're not presenting ID. They'll go right in and vote.
Yeah, sure. And if you can't even question someone, you can't. And how do you not go to multiple precincts then? And go, if you don't have to present ID or anything about who you are, why can't I just go vote in everything? And, you know, these are small municipalities. These are small beach towns and whatnot. And these people want power at any cost by any means necessary. And if you can go flood those ballot boxes with randos, and the problem that is obvious here, that there's zero accountability. How do you track fraud? Fraud in federal elections is illegal, right? It's a big time crime.
Yeah.
But when it's just like, oh yeah, 3,000 people voted in this small election, like you can swing an election huge and take control over areas that you can pack areas. And if you have no line tracing back to who these people are, so I don't understand what the good is. I'm sure there's a couple of fucking libtards that listen to us. I'd love to know the rationale of this.
Where's Graybo at? I got into an argument with him today.
Did you really?
Yeah, we were having a little back for it. It was nice.
Yeah, he's great. Fun. No, he's great. Yeah. He means well. And he's a very smart guy. No question about it.
We even agreed on one thing that maybe we should just vote to wipe everything off the federal government and start clean.
Yeah, no.
Might go well, might go bad.
dude, a lot of people. When Trump has talked about eliminating the 3-letter agencies and starting over, there's a big part of me that goes, yeah, these people are out of fucking control 100%. At this point. You know,
start with the ATF.
Yeah, the ATF's a good one. I know a lot of people bitch that why would you even have alcohol, tobacco, and firearms in the same group? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah, I don't know what the good would be from this. Like, if this little town wants to have its voter laws, like, that's great. They would love to federalize this. They would love to federalize it and have the same rules on all these things. And they would absolutely do away with voter ID. Fuck what the rest of the world does that already knows. Like, I cannot think of a plausible reason why you would do this unless you were up to some shit. And again, it goes back to the further point that I don't trust you are good human beings. I don't think that you give a shit at all on any level about Garrett and his well-being and his family, even his hot mom, for that matter.
Well, let's say they do, because they all support the gay community, and then you
who supports the gay community?
Oh, everybody in California, their government.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They're super pro LGBT.
Sure.
I don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah, and the fact is, most people support the gay community.
I know.
Let's be honest. It's
too much
this
support.
idea that half the country wishes they were dead or wants to take away the right. Like, fuck off. No, they don't. No, they don't. Assholes exist, sure, but they don't represent the nation as a whole. This is a very tolerant society. You know it, and I know it.
Most people are just trying to get their groceries and get the fuck home.
Yeah. Yeah. It's shocking to me. You know, these people aren't operating in good faith. Doug Emhoff, Jackoff is a prime example. Prime example, you know, like I don't historically give a shit about the second gentle lady. Like, I don't care when Reagan was in, what Nancy was all about, fucking whatever. Didn't care what Melania was up to. I don't care. They don't really, outside of Joe Biden, who apparently is running this country right now, I don't care about these people. But, you know, everything that's come out on Doug Emhoff,
there you go,
says that he's a misogynistic fucking asshole. Okay? I've never slapped a woman, ever. I can't imagine the scenario that I would. It would have to be for fear of my own life. Like, then I'll break a
you almost did last week.
I did?
Landau and the crew.
Yeah, and
remember?
I clipped her nose, and she wanted me to hit her. And I was so uncomfortable with that. I was telling her, I was like, no, dude. I've thought about that since then, too. Like, God damn, I came really close to smacking that chick. And, but yeah, so these people want to preach to you about believe all women. Oh my God, how could you not believe all women and all that? And it's like, no, this is the problem I have. Not that he's like, misogynists exist. Yeah. There are guys that think, you know, some chick, she's just a fucking hole to bang from time to time. I sort of think like that sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
everyone's guilty.
Lots of guys know what it feels like to be like, Jesus Christ, with this nagging bitch, get out of here. I'd like to watch the game with my boys. Like, it's misogynistic in theory, but you know what? Are you smacking a chick? Are you fucking cheating on them all the time? Are you fucking the babysitter of your kids? You know, like, that's a different level. And it seems like, you know, this would be where you would really take a stand. If you really wanted me to believe you were genuine and, your love and support of all these groups, or your how much you despise this kind of behavior, you know, you would think that something like this would be on the table, you know, that these are credible, right? He had to come out and admit that, I fucked the babysitter, busted a nut in her. And then, you know, what happened to that kid? Who knows? But like, he did that. This girl, and then the 3 people, you know, you're talking about people that are corporate lawyers. Like, this isn't some ratty operation, you know, because I knew a football player that he banged some chick, you know, some Hooters waitress, and she tried to come at him for $10,000 for an abortion. And he decided just to pay her. He was just like, fuck it. And then her friends came back to him and were like, she was never pregnant. She just told you that because she knew you were an NFL player and had money. And he was like, whatever. I think it was $5,000 actually that she milked him for. It was like $5,000 or I'm going to fucking keep the baby. And, you know, And so those exist. But in this case, you're talking about the Cannes Film Festival. You're talking about corporate lawyers, like boss bitches. Like, this chick is no bullshit. Like, and they're very afraid of coming out. So, when everything is reportable when it comes to Trump or something. Oh, this person, said something bad about Trump, and then you find out, oh, they've been donating to Democrats for 100 years, and they're on, what? And you're like, okay, it seems like that person might have ulterior motives, in doing this. If you were doing that fairly across the board and like, oh, okay, that's the new rule, I guess anybody that says anything about anyone, we just run with, then okay, but you're not. And it does seem like election tampering in a way to me. It's not rigging an election, but it's definitely putting
it's like burying the Biden laptop right before the election.
Right. It's putting your hand on the scale. Like, you don't need to see this. We're not talking about this. And these women that are coming out now talking about what went on at Venable when he was one of the lead attorneys over there, and his treatment of chicks that maybe weren't knockouts hot. They were just hardworking women, lawyers, whatever. And they were not treated the same way. They were treated like shit. They didn't get to ride in the limo. He would hire unqualified people for positions in the firm.
You get himself a Katya.
What's that? Get yourself a Katya. Yep. Get some smoke show that's a model somewhere and be like, some eye candy to look at. This all seems like really shitty behavior. Well, then you don't get to parade this guy out as the guy for feminists now.
Yeah.
And so I just went and looked at the New York Times, Doug Emhoff headlines. What are the New York Times headlines of Doug Emhoff? So these are three really fucking, like, these are newsworthy stories, right?
Okay.
Fucking the babysitter and knocking her up, and you're trying to be the second gentle whore in the country. That's a story. Sorry if it's an inconvenient one, but it is a story. You being credibly accused of slapping the shit out of some chick drunk as fuck at the Cannes Film Festival a few years back is a story. These women from a fucking high level law firm talking about what an absolute misogynistic piece of shit asshole Doug Beatoff is. Yeah, that's a story. Okay? You didn't go down to the gutter and scrape up a bunch of MAGA people to invent stories about Doug Beatoff.
Yeah.
No, these are people historically on that team going, the country needs to know.
Who came with evidence.
Yeah, they all came with evidence. Screenshots, pictures, emails. Does the New York Times give a shit? No, they do not. Here's the story. So if you Google it, you can do this yourself. Doug Emhoff, Doug Beatoff, New York Times. As he campaigns for his wife, Kamala, Mr. Emhoff has said he will make fighting anti-Semitism a top priority. Blah, blah, blah. The rise of the husband. They did a story. The rise of the husband. What to know about Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Beatoff. Doug Emhoff poking fun at himself, talks up Kamala Harris. These are all the headlines. Doug Beatoff puts his Jewish identity at the center of his, and then it cut off. What kind of second gentleman would Doug Beatoff be? Kamala Harris's lawyer husband is adoring on Instagram, proud of telling their love story, and seems to relish life as a campaign spouse. We continue. There's one on page 2. When I got down to page 2, Doug Emhoff, husband of Kamala Harris, acknowledges a relationship with a teacher at his school's elementary school occurred when he was married to his first wife, years before he met Kamala. Seems a little kid gloves, right? Relationship with his children's elementary school occurred. Yeah, you mean their babysitter, who also happened to work at their fucking toddler children's school? He fucked her. That he knocked up, yeah. I have your back, quote story. Doug Beatoff draws on his faith, blah, blah, blah. Doug Emhoff stresses a personal push against anti-Semitism. Those are the headlines from the New York Times over weeks, months on Doug Emhoff. Can you imagine if it was Trump or J.D. Vance? They're pulling up stuff on J.D. Vance that he said in a podcast interview years ago about a fucking, childless cat ladies. And his further point meant
not
something
just that.
too.
They were trying to pin him up with the couch fucking situation, which wasn't even in his book, but they
Right.
said it was.
Right. They were quick to correct that wasn't in his book. Just the way they reported it made it sound, which is important to the elitist dipshits around the country that go, "Oh my word, this man fucked the couch. Holy shit!" Like they'll hear that and believe it. Of course they will. They're
Not
dying.
the Davenport.
So I was like, well, let's see what the Washington Post is reporting on Doug Beatoff. Let's see, are they reporting any of these three major stories?
What's the Bezos paper? Let's see.
The groundbreaking normalcy of Doug Emhoff. Groundbreaking normalcy. That should be offensive to those of us that don't fuck the babysitter and knock her up, don't slap the shit out of women at the Cannes Film Festival, and don't treat women who aren't 9s and 10s a little bit differently at the workplace.
Yeah.
That should be a little offensive. The groundbreaking normalcy of Doug Emhoff, per the Washington Post. Who is Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Beatoff? As second gentleman, Emhoff has worked to fight anti-Semitism, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's all they care about. Opinion, Doug Emhoff, modern day sex symbol?
Yeah, I think we covered that one.
Doug Emhoff is secure enough in his own masculinity to sometimes prioritize his wife's ambitions over his own. What a hunk.
Oh my God, what a hunk.
This idea, by the way, that men are threatened by strong women, is fucking hilarious. I got a sad news flash for you, ladies. We're not.
No.
We're not.
We usually just don't want to hear it.
I think what this boils down to at the end of the day is, if push really came to shove, you're not a physical threat. You're just not. That doesn't mean that the, like I've talked about, the Brienne of Tarths of the world don't exist. Sure. You can find the Ronda Rousey and cling all your hopes to that. But by and large, when you take it out a little bit, you're not a threat physically. And so we could patch on the head. You could write articles in the Washington Post about how most men are threatened by a successful woman. No, never found that. I've worked with some. I've dated some. They're great.
Yeah.
They're just fine. I have no problem with them. They're a little more confident in their abilities. They have less time for bullshit. A lot of them that work hard and have real jobs and provide and bring something financially to the table. Like, they're great. They're great. I never once, whatever, gave a shit. Like, that'd be amazing. You're telling me I can date some or marry some fucking boss woman? That's awesome. No guy is threatened by that. None. I don't know the guy. I've never met the guy. It's not something guys talk about. Like, have you seen Garrett's new? Well, talk with you. Have you seen so-and-so's new girlfriend? Yeah, I hear she's a boss over there. God, I could never. Ugh, how emasculating. No, those conversations don't. Guys don't give a shit if the girl works, doesn't work, works as a CEO, or if she's a fucking model, or if she works at Lowe's Hardware. Can women say the same thing? You don't care at all? You don't give a shit if the guy is a fucking leader in his community or he's working a hardware store locally. Really? Can all women say that? Because I think most guys can say that. You've never heard a guy in a conversation go, I found her. She's the one, man. I thought she was the one, but she's got a shitty job. She's a waitress. So I can't do that. That conversation has not existed in the history of men conversations. Never. Nah. No guy has gone, I found a girl. She's fucking hot. She's fun as shit to hang out with. She's great to converse with. I just don't know, man. She's a waitress.
Yeah.
No. I guarantee you billions of conversations have happened with women going, I found this guy. He seems super sweet. He's really nice. He's fun to hang out with. The only problem is he doesn't seem to have a ton of ambition. He's cool just being a waiter at the local bar.
Yeah.
That conversation's happened loads of times.
Oh, yeah.
That conversation doesn't exist in the world of men. So get this fantasy out of your head that men are threatened by strong women. They're not at all. Continue with Doug Beatoff's praise from the Washington Post. Emhoff shares how he first met Harris. Yeah. I want to know more about why he met Harris. You know, when he fucked the babysitter on his first wife and knocked her up. I want to know more about that story. Don't tell me the fake love story about how he met Kamala. No. I want to know more about why the first one broke up.
I thought the marriage was strengthened after the cheating scandal.
Yeah, which is weird too.
How did that work? I want to know how that works.
Yeah, a lot of us would like to know how that worked.
How did your marriage get strengthened and then you got a divorce?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the first time that's ever happened in the history of time. Emhoff concedes affair during previous marriage. Yeah, the Washington Post did put that out. Emhoff and his then wife later divorced. Again, to your point, we've talked about it many times. I thought it strengthened their relationship. That's weird how that worked. Yeah. And the affair ended years before he began dating Vice President Harris. Years before. So he's moved on. He's a much better, softer man now. Yeah, he barely even slaps women anymore.
No,
as far as we can tell. He's on a hot streak. He hasn't slapped a woman in public in 12 years. It's pretty cool.
I don't know. Kamala might be good at keeping her mouth shut.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see here. Second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, hits the campaign trail.
He hit more than a campaign trail.
Yeah, he did.
He hit a woman.
Here's a nice Washington Post article. Emhoff on leaving his career to support Harris. Cool. Tell us all about it. How you gave up your career for your woman.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Unbelievable, dude. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
Deadspin. We'll go out on this story. And again, if those of you are tuning in late, tomorrow's going to be a tough go because they're doing some construction down here. And it's going to be cutting out a wall here to make a walkthrough between the rooms. So Cease has more room. Easier for me too, but mostly I'm concerned about CC. So that's going to be a 2-day project. I imagine I'm not going to be able to be in here tomorrow. Hopefully Friday we could do something for our wonderful members out there. TDC, patreon.com/TDC podcast. There's a bunch of shit in there you can already listen to. I will do another story and some emails, so don't go anywhere. By the way, I keep forgetting to mention radiofor1.com does have some links there. Click the Amazon link. They're having their Prime Day. I think it ends tonight. So I might be too late, but please.
I just clicked there to buy some presents for a cousin coming up.
Did you? There you go. Yeah. Thank you, Garrett. It's a great way to support the show. Obviously, it doesn't cost you anymore. If you think about it, when you've got small independent shows that don't have a lot of support, certainly don't have conglomerate companies supporting us. It's, we rely on you guys that enjoy the show, and it's an easy way to do it to support us. And you guys all know how great Amazon Prime deals are. And I know a lot of you just day-to-day shop through Amazon. So, I should mention that more, just go to Radio41 FOR, radio41.com and click on the Amazon link, shop away like normal. And they give us a decent kickback. I also want to mention this part of the show is brought to you by our fine friends at the Deer Lake Athletic Club. They offer a full gym, fitness classes, 3 pools, swim lessons, tennis, pickleball, and more. The Backcourt restaurant inside the Deer Lake Athletic Club has weekly specials like Taco Tuesday, kids meals for $5 on Thursdays. That's a big one. When I'm spending $17 on a little bit of cream cheese and 6 bagels, $5 kids meals, that shit adds up so quick. That is a really good deal. Live entertainment on Fridays and Saturdays. Now they're open on Sundays, starting at 10 a.m. for breakfast and football all day long. Book your holiday party before December 1st in their banquet center for a special offer. Call 248-625-8686 for more info. That's 248-625-8686. Or stop in at 6167 White Lake Road in Clarkston, or visit their website at deerlakeathletic.com. And I don't want to forget our buddy Nick Matthews. He's been very kind. I was not doing a read for him. He never went anywhere. He's a good supporter. He's an amazing guy and very good at what he does. He truly is the insurance expert. Are you paying too much for health insurance? Are you uninsured? health insurance can be confusing. It can be very confusing. Nick Matthews from Your Insurance Expert is an expert in health insurance, life insurance, and Medicare supplements, so you don't have to be. Please call Nick with any questions. You don't even have to buy from him. He's a good enough dude that he'll just talk with you, walk you through stuff, steer you in the right direction. He can just check your shit and make sure you're in a good situation. And if he can better it, he will. Call Nick Matthews, 248-914-1173. Nick Matthews, 248-914-1173. Deadspin, do you remember this story? I think you were working with me, Garrett, at this point. The guy that tried to make it a race issue with the kid, the Chiefs fan, did the blackface. Remember that story?
Yep.
A judge in Delaware denied Deadspin's attempt to get that defamation suit thrown out. They wanted
good.
Like, this is as close to a defamation suit as I can think of. You know, we've talked plenty about how these work when you're someone who's known in the public, and there's a bit much greater like what you can say about Tom Cruise versus Tom Cruise CRUZ who lives down the street from you. You know, defamation, like the understanding is, hey man, you're a public figure. You open yourself up to critiques. You open yourself up to all kinds of shit that shouldn't apply to the normal human being, where you can really damage someone in their community by stuff like this. This is as clear-cut a defamation suit as I've ever seen. And it's done to race bait this nation, which I think is equally evil in my opinion. These stories are absolutely fucking devastating and horrible to gin people up into thinking there's some race war that needs to happen between us. So fuck this Karen. And his name actually is Karen, Carron. So Deadspin wanted to get this thrown out. And a judge was like, yeah, no, I don't think so. This will go on. They published an article that falsely accused a 9-year-old kid. Unbelievable. Kansas City Chiefs fan wearing blackface. They said he was wearing blackface at a game last year. Superior Court Judge Sean Lugg shot down Deadspin's motion to dismiss a defamation lawsuit filed by Raul Armenta Jr. and his wife Shannon on behalf of their son Holden. Chiefs fan attended a game in Vegas last November. And, you know, I think back, Garrett, to a time when you're a kid and, you know, you want to dress up for Halloween and you want to dress up for a sporting event and you want to do face painting. You know, you go to Tiger game. Imagine how many kids are painting, you know, the D logo on their, they're getting a fake tattoo on their cheek today at the stadium. Those things. I'm not going to do it because I'm a fucking adult, but kids love it. They wait in line for it. They look forward to painting their face and throwing on their gear, and they wear their little hutch helmet. Like it's a special time in your life to be thrown into this bullshit because this fucking racist asshole wants to make some point because you can't find, he can't make that point in the real world because it doesn't fucking exist in the real world for the most part. This shit doesn't exist. So he has to invent it, find creative ways. And who cares who it hurts? Who cares if your target is a 9-year-old child? It's so, it just sickens me. So the guy's wearing an Indian headdress, painting his face half red and half black, his favorite team's colors. I'm not even going to fault him for being a shitty Chiefs fan, but, you know, here we are. In an article written by Karen Phillips, and it's a guy, Karen, published by Deadspin, Holden is accused of wearing blackface and finding a way to hate black people and Native Americans at the same time. The main photo only showed one side of Holden's face that was painted black. And Phillips claimed that Holden was taught hatred by his parents. That's literal defamation. Like that's what that is. That's defamation.
You just called his parents racist, hateful people.
Yeah. You've invented a narrative in your own head, Karen, and you've projected it onto this family that doesn't know you, isn't living in that fucking world. Yeah. That if you're watching us right now on YouTube or wherever you pod, you can see the picture there of him wearing a Travis Kelce jersey, and he's got the headdress, blah, blah, blah. Deadspin published this image of a child displaying the passionate fandom as a backdrop for its critique of the NFL's diversity efforts. And yeah, it's never enough for these people. Keep that in mind too. They can put love and Black Lives Matter all over the field and racial equality stickers all over their fucking helmet. It's never enough anyways.
Nope.
It's never enough. Never. You can have an entire roster of trans fucking athletes on the field in tutus. It won't be enough for these people. Keep that in mind, NFL. Not that you care. So Judge Lugg wrote, having reviewed the complaint, the court concludes that Deadspin statements accusing Holden of wearing blackface and native headdress to hate black people and the Native American at the same time, and that he was taught this hatred by his parents, are provable false assertions of fact and are therefore actionable. Good. Holden is proud of his family's Chumash Indian heritage and wore the headdress along with the face paint to support the Chiefs. After backlash to Phillips, falsely writing that Holden was wearing blackface and calling him and his parents racist, the writer, of course, did what all these fucking clowns do. They doubled down on it, writing, for the idiots in my mentions who are treating this as some harmless act because the other side of his face was painted red, I could make the argument that makes it even worse. Y'all are the ones that hate Mexicans but wear sombreros on Cinco. So if you want to look at it through that lens and assume anybody that wears a fucking sombrero on Cinco de Mayo isn't just celebrating a different culture and having fun with it. I mean, how far are you going to go with this, sir? Are you going to say that we're racist if we go eat at a Mexican restaurant?
Well, have you seen the multiple guys who have put on full, like, white guys who put on, like, full Mexican regalia, sombreros, ponchos, and everything? They walk in the Mexican town and ask people, like, hey, are you offended by this? And all of them go, no, I like it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like, everyone has fun with it.
Like, it's just so insulting and so evil. It's evil to assume the worst. Again, if you walk around and be like, that fence is painted white because they must hate black fences, racist.
Obviously.
Like, if you want to do that, you can. You're a miserable cunt of a human being. You just are. And you're doing a disservice to the nation, to the people here. Everybody in America understands that we're the most blended nation on earth. We brag about it. We enjoy going out and taking in cuisine from other parts of the world. Those restaurants are full all the fucking time with people that might just be goofy white guys. They enjoy all this shit too. You know, people dressing up, having some beers and going out for Cinco de Mayo. It's the 5th of May. It's a nothing day. People are always looking for a reason to go out and party. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean someone's, we're out here laughing and making fun of this culture. That's not what Cinco de Mayo is in this country.
No, what he's saying is I should go out on St. Patrick's Day and start fighting black people.
Right. Sure. You know, if someone dresses up as a leprechaun, we offended by that, fighting black people. I see what you did there, but it's just,
I mean, he wants to fight all the white people for celebrating Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, right. You know, and it's,
which, by the way, it's also fighting black people on Cinco de Mayo.
What's that?
We can also fight black people on Cinco de Mayo, but they just don't want to talk about that part.
Yeah. Well, it sends the message to people too that are on the fence about stuff like, oh, better not do anything, better stay in my lane. Yeah. You know, this for fear of offending the virtues of someone or you know, appearing in some way. I guarantee none of these people are nefarious in their thought when they go out for Cinco de Mayo, or any more than they are on St. Patrick's Day and having green beers.
Yeah.
You know, like it's fun little things that people do.
The holiday.
And if you do something that's horribly offensive or racist, people point it out.
Yeah.
People do and go, oh, what the fuck, dude? You know, it's just bad. The lawsuit points out other articles and public statements from Phillips that focus on race and criticize the U.S. as racist. So they're pointing out, like, this isn't an isolated incident. This Karen cocksucker, this is what his life's work is. This is his grift. This is how he makes money, ginning up everybody to think they need to hate everybody that looks different than them.
Yeah.
That's his whole jam right there. So accusing people of engaging in racist acts has long been Phillips' MO. His career is based on it. His recent articles include Ryan Tannehill's support for young Titans quarterbacks depends on if they're white. Said
just
with
race baiter.
Yeah. Oh, 100% he's a race baiter. So
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, I don't know if you know, he's a quarterback in the NFL. Okay. He was the Titans quarterback for a long time. He was the Dolphins quarterback for a while.
That means nothing
to me. What's that?
So that means nothing to me.
Yeah, he's a good looking guy. He's
then
he's
I'm in.
He
I
probably
like
has
this guy.
Probably has a huge dick. You'd love him.
Oh, hell yeah.
So yeah, depends on if they're white. So if there's a black quarterback in the quarterback room, the implication is he wouldn't support him or how. Okay, there's absolutely nothing to back that up. I guarantee it. But whatever. Okay, this guy's just going to print this, and Deadspin's he's going to write it, and Deadspin's going to print it. Cool. Here's another article title. We know why Simone Biles doesn't get the same attention as Taylor Swift at NFL games. Because she's black. No. Here's why. Because Simone Biles is married to a guy that just became a starter. He plays on defense in the secondary. He's not a household name in this country. And Simone Biles plays a sport that no one gives a flying fuck about for 4 years at a time. Taylor Swift, on the other hand, is the biggest star in the world.
Yeah, international
superstar, and she's dating one of the greatest tight ends to ever walk the planet, who also happens to play on offense with the greatest quarterback probably to ever play the game.
Yeah.
So there's that. Yes, they happen to be white, but Taylor Swift isn't popular for 2 months every 4 years. Taylor Swift is popular every minute of every day. See the difference there, Karen? So, no, you can just paint it as because one's black. Get the fuck out of here, man.
No, Taylor Swift literally saved football, remember?
Yeah, right. Here's one. The Chicago Bears haven't won a playoff game since Lovie Smith. Their next head coach should be black. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. Lovie Smith was there for many years. He was a mildly successful coach. They didn't win anything of consequence, but they made the playoffs. Were Lions fans happy when the Lions made the playoffs every few years with Matt Stafford? Or do you like it better like this? Do you like what Dan Campbell's doing with the Lions better? I got a feeling, I can't hear all of you, but I got a feeling that going to that next level is big. And the Chicago Bears have a storied history. Doesn't matter who their coach is or what color he is. Can he win games? Lovie Smith was there many years, and he eked into the playoffs a couple times. Good for him. Not something to write home about. Won't go down in the history books. Whatever.
No, I'm sure he's a great coach, but I don't think that whole World Series run had anything to do with him particularly.
Yeah. And maybe, these guys are fired and rehired all over the league all the time.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But again, if you choose to see the world as everything's racist and out to get you because of the color of your skin, I guess. And, we all have to make money somehow. And if that's the way this guy's chosen to do it, I suppose that's the way it goes. I just want you all to see through it. All right, let's do an email and get out of here. We'll do 2 of them.
Okay.
Hey, guys, I've been listening to you since the very first day of the Drew cast with the horrible reverb. Okay, he's nice. Legit. Yeah,
this is an
OG. This is an OG because that reverb was terrible that first day. I mean, we were trying to figure out on the fly how to go live and have people hear it. So, you've done a fantastic job keeping this podcast going. Garrett, sup to the hot mom is fantastic. But my God, Amy was the cherry on top. Please try to add her to your podcast as much as you can. It really does give it a different, even flow to it. I hope you're enjoying Arizona. Michigan's going to suck ass soon because it's going to snow. Good luck, Doug. Thank you, Douglas.
Yep.
I agree. I think Garrett and I had a blast with Amy. I knew we would. Amy's great. We've known her for years.
I've heard her before on the show so many times.
Yeah. Smart girl, too. And then Bone Job writes in, MAGA Barbie. Mike, very much enjoyed hearing MAGA Barbie on the show. She reps us Canton residents well. Also, I am typically an audio listener, but today, for some reason, I decided to watch the live stream.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird how she was able to talk the whole show and not scream, "Orange Man bad," and run away like that previous pussy co-host you had for one episode. To make that perfectly clear, that was a shot at Raj.
It was 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was 2. And there's more to that story.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the politics thing. I still love Raj.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, that's not exactly what that was. Sorry. I trying to be respectful. Keep the great content coming. It is the only way I can make it through the next 30 days. Hi, Woke Bay.
Howdy.
So thank you guys. And I can't tell you how depressing it is when I wake up and there's not email from you listeners. So take that for what it's worth. I love getting a Connor email. I love hearing from Doug. You guys, it adds a lot. And you'd be shocked at how many people really enjoy hearing just a couple emails at the end of the show. I really mean that.
I always tell people, like, when you message me stories and stuff, send them the mic. Say some stuff about the show to him. He's got the email up.
Yeah, and I know more of you are listening than will ever email. That's a fact, regardless. But I will involve you guys as much as you allow me to. I can keep your names out of it too. But when you have good points, comments, critiques, all of it is helpful. Walters@DetroitCast.com. Send the emails. I'm terribly sorry about tomorrow, Garrett. Take the day off. Enjoy. Go Tigers this weekend. Go Lions this weekend. And if I can do a member show, patreon.com/TDC podcast on Friday, I will. If we can squeeze it in that window before Garrett's got to go to Chris Newberg's show. If you're going to that, have a blast.
There's a couple fans in the group going too, so I'll be meeting up with people.
Yeah, go seek Garrett out and say hi to him.
It's hard to miss me.
Yeah. He's tall and gay. You can't miss him.
Yep.
They stand out like a sore thumb.
A little bit.
So is your hot mom going too?
Yeah, it'll be the hot mom and the stepdad.
So I'm requiring you all to fucking keep the dad out of it, or at least crop him out of it. Get pictures of the hot mom with you and send them to me. Email them to me.
Take pictures with the stepdad half out of the photo. He's cool with that. It'll be funny.
You can have Garrett in it. You can even have yourself in it if you want. Keep that stupid stepdad part out.
Try not to make him creep shots.
Just try to centralize the hot mom part and then email them to me. One day I'm going to learn her name too. You know, at this point, it's just hot mom. I don't know anything else about her. So I guess that's all that's important, really.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great rest of the day, buddy.